Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a very powerful climbing team that I created in the Open Great League, centered around Close Combat Annihilape. This team, I was able to climb multiple hundreds of points up to 2811 ELO, reaching expert rank, and that's good enough for number 48 in the world on today's global leaderboards. For the team, I have the Shadow Gligar on the lead, Shadow Poliwrath as the save switch, and the Close Combat Annihilape as the closer. The team does have its weaknesses, but I love the team in that I feel like I lost tons of leads and I was still able to get so many wins. Hopping into the first match, we do see a lost lead here, leading Shadow Gligar into the Shadow Dragonair. I throw one wing attack, I save switch into the Shadow Poliwrath, and my opponent is going to respond with a Lantern. This is not an amazing matchup for the Poliwrath, but the good news is even in a losing matchup, I can still output a tremendous amount of damage. Purely off a resisted Scald and neutral counters, I've got the Lantern deep into the red. And now I can send in the Gligar, and Gligar is going to look to tank a Surf, massively overfarm, before going for an Aerial Ace to pick up the knockout. Aerial Ace is going to be resisted, but the good news is they're low enough that it will actually be able to knock out. So I have given up some health on my Gligar, but I've exchanged it for energy. Aerial Ace does not knock out, but it does quite a lot of damage. My opponent will commit the shield, and now I can send in the Annihilape. Annihilape gets the close combat 7 to the first and 6 to the second, so the pacing is faster than Shadow Ball. And it's really helpful for situations like these. Lickitung thinking they can take the energy from the Annihilape, but they most definitely cannot. They're only able to make a body slam. I'm debuffed, but it's not going to matter. That's double resisted. I get to leave with the Night Slash with enough HP that the Dragon Breath will not be able to snipe me. Night Slash will get the shield, and my Gligar is healthy enough that I will be able to withstand the Dragon Breaths and make it to an Aerial Ace. So, despite a very uncomfortable lead to start, and a pretty tough counter switch to my Poliwrath save switch, we're able to get the win. Terrible lead in the next match. Gligar into Skarmory. I'm going to save switch into the Shadow Poliwrath, and if they stay in here, I am going to go for the Icy Wind. This is not for the debuff, this is specifically for the damage. The Icy Wind landing, plus the counter that sneaks here, basically puts them into dig range for the Gligar later. So I'm going to be shielding this. Opponent sends in a Dragonair, and it looks like they are completely core broken by the Poliwrath save switch. So I fire off the Icy Wind, they're going to commit the shield, and they're not going to be able to farm me down here. Oh, they do just farm me down. For a second there, I thought I would make the Icy Wind, but I'm unable to do so. In comes the Annihilape. My opponent will be able to make 2 Aqua Tails, but they are debuffed. So I'm more than happy to absorb this damage. They are going to be firing off another Aqua Tail. I can let that through. Are they going to send in the Skarmory, or will we see the final Pokemon? They're thinking about it. In the back, it's a Shadow Whiscash, and I'm going to farm up and go for the close combat. This is not enough for a Shadow Ball, and people don't want to shield Night Slash. Just the close combat connects, dealing so much damage, and I just win the game now with the Shadow Gligar. Again, the pacing, getting to close combat neutrally does the same damage as Shadow Ball, so against like a Whiscash, a close combat from Annihilape and a Shadow Ball do the same damage, but you do get to the close combats faster. It of course does come at a cost, you lower your defense, but in that instance, the surprise factor just completely wins me the game. Back-to-back losing leads, and we're able to take the win. This is not a particularly comfortable lead. Leading the Shadow Gligar into Altaria, Gligar can actually win the ones, but this lead definitely not very comfortable for me. I will fire off the Aerial Ace, that's going to connect. Opponent will return fire with their charge attack. I'm going to let this through, as it is going to be the Sky Attack. I'm going to land the Aerial Ace, and then look to pivot into the Poliwrath and attempt to go for a counter down. In comes the Poliwrath. Opponent going to send in Lantern. Lantern, not what I was hoping to see here. But again, as we've seen, even though Scald is going to be resisted, it adds up quite a lot. And the opponent actually commits a shield. Maybe potentially fearing a Dynamic Punch or just wanting to preserve health on the Lantern. Either way, that's very okay by me. I can send in the Annihilape, and Annihilape is going to be able to get a lot of farm. Unfortunately, I lag by 1 turn when I'm entering the field, so I'm not able to sneak through a counter, and that ends up messing up my timing. I would have loved to Night Slash and win charge attack priority, but my count was off due to the 1 turn. My opponent in the back, oh no, they have Vigoroth, and this game is over. I can just go for the close combat. Goodbye, Vigoroth. They send in the Altaria. This will force the final shield, and I should be able to put them into a wing attack range with the counters. So now I can just switch into the Gligar, get the wing attack down. They have the Lantern, but Lantern is unable to get the Spark down. So we haven't even really seen any terrific leads for the Gligar yet, but we're still just winning games. And here we have another one. Gligar into the Dugong, safe switch into the Poliwrath. Opponent sends in Annihilape. If Annihilape no-shields the Scald as the Poliwrath, you can go down a shield and actually flip switch. So they kind of have to shield the Shadow Scald, because that does a lot of damage. They are going to commit the shield, and they did get debuffed as well. I'm not going to shield. I got my shield advantage. They fire off the Shadow Ball. I'm going to send in the Gligar. Gligar will have to take a move, but at -1, I can tank anything, even a double super effective Ice Punch. It is going to be the Shadow Ball. I'll look to overfarm and then go for the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to knock them out. They're sending in the Dugong. I bring in the Annihilape, and my opponent, they're not switching. They're going for a debuff, and I've already gotten some valuable damage out of the Dugong. They debuff me with the Icy Wind. They're staying in, so I'm going for the close combat. A Shadow Ball, I don't think would quite knock out here, so I full send the close combat. My opponent ends up shielding, so they've got to be so weak to Annihilape in the back. It looks like they're running an ABA strategy. I'm now double debuffed, but I believe this Night Slash plus a counter should be enough to knock out. The Night Slash gets them low in the back. It's a Bastiodon. Even though I am double debuffed, this close combat is still going to hurt. The close combat connects, switch clock is up, in comes the Gligar, we make it to the dig, and that's going to be game over as the Dugong should just get knocked out by one wing attack. So they send in the Dugong, Gligar flips the script, KOing a Dugong and taking the win. We're met with another terrible lead in the next match, leading Shadow Gligar into Mantine. Mantine beats this entire team. Mantine and Azumarill are probably the two most difficult Pokemon to deal with, but we deal with it by employing what's called an overload strategy, which is basically we're triple weak to it, so we're going to kind of brute force our way through it and trust in the fact that if they're leading Mantine, they could very well be weak to either one of our counter users in the back. I go for the Aerial Ace, they end up shielding. I've shielded once, so I decide to let it go in case they make a mistake in Aerial Ace bait, and they do. I try and go for the Aerial Ace. I'm not sure if I lost CMP there, or I did see the spinny ball of death in the top left, so I'm not quite sure if they just have a very high attack Mantine, or if that was lag related. I send in the Poliwrath, they pivot into a Sirfetch'd, and that works out great for me. Icy Wind is going to be shielded. They're at back-to-back Leaf Blades here. If I let this go, they can force a shield versus my Annihilape, so I may as well shield. I'm going to bank the Icy Wind for later and send in the Annihilape. Frenzy Plant is a very powerful move, but Annihilape has okay bulk. It's able to withstand the damage, and again, the cheaper nuke move coming in clutch. The close combat, goodbye Chestnut. Due to my debuff defense, they get less farm on the Mantine, and that's actually going to be very important because the Icy Wind gonna get them low, and they get KO'd as soon as they make the Aerial Ace. So despite a lead that beats our whole team, we take the win. We see our first good lead in the next match, leading the Gligar into Annihilape. They save switch Lickitung, and this Lickitung is not gonna know what hit it. Close combat connects, get that Lickitung out of here. They send back in the Annihilape. I'm going to farm up to a potential Shadow Ball. I'm not running double nuke, but I haven't revealed my moveset yet, so I'm hoping to grab a shield. And they do actually commit a shield. That works out great for me, and to my surprise, it looks like I actually won charge attack priority there. I have a pretty high rank Annihilape, so I'm always a little bit surprised when I do win charge attack priority. They're going to go for an undercharged Night Slash and counter me down, which is a pretty nice play. In the back, unfortunately, it's just a completely hard counter game where my Poliwrath can crush their Dugong, and they resign the match. Moving to the next match, we do see a slightly negative lead, Gligar into Lickitung. I throw one wing attack, safe switch into the Shadow Poliwrath. My opponent sends in Trevenant. Now, if Trevenant switches slowly here, Poliwrath can actually win this. They no-shield the Icy Wind, and I can definitely win this now. I can just shield once, counter down the Ghost type, and just take switch advantage, which is absolutely amazing. I don't think they're really going to want to send in Lickitung here to take a bunch of counter damage and a Scald, so they're going to send in their final Pokemon, which is Annihilape. Annihilape will be met with the Scald. That is going to grab the shield. Can I make it to another move? No, I cannot. In hindsight, I guess I should have Icy Winded, because then I think I could have got to a second Icy Wind, but now they're full health. The Shadow Ball will connect. In comes the Lickitung, and I send in the Annihilape. Annihilape, can't quite get to the close combat there due to the fact that they had an energy advantage. The Power Whip will connect, and I'm going to go for the close combat. I have to undercharge this because I can't afford to give my opponent farm. If their Annihilape gets farm, they can win this game. And there, I accidentally tap the screen, and I give them the energy that they need. Oh, that hurts so much. I was waiting, but I accidentally tapped the screen, and then that's just my fault. Because I'm going to get to the back-to-back Aerial Aces, but guess who now has the energy for a Night Slash? The Aerial Ace is shielded. I lose charge attack priority. That game felt very, very winnable there, but I made a mistake. I farmed them down. They're able to get the energy that they need, and I end up losing it. Another awkward lead in the next match, Shadow Gligar versus the Shadow Dragonair. I'm going to save switch into the Shadow Poliwrath after throwing one wing attack. I like doing the one wing attack and dip strategy against negative leads, even if it's something like an Alolan Sandslash that you're leading into, as it just really improves the pacing for Gligar when you bring it back in later on. They're going to full send the Thunderbolt. I did get the debuff on the Scald, which is quite nice. I'm going to wait my timer, and then I can use this as an opportunity, as I have before, to tank a move and basically trade health for energy that I can use to pressure the Dragonair. The Surf is going to connect. I'm going to overfarm quite a lot and throw just before they're able to make their next Surf. This is going to knock out. I'm just short of a Dig, but honestly, whether it's shielded or not, just getting this damage off is very nice. If they shield, then I have a shield advantage for Ape. If they no shield, then I can counter down. And they no shield, I send in the Annihilape. Annihilape, I'm more than happy to shield once, counter all the way down. Let's see what they have in the back. So I shield the Aqua Tail. Whatever they had in back did not want to see an Annihilape with a shield and a big energy lead, and they resign the match. We pick up a decent lead in the next match, Shadow Gligar versus the Cresselia. And this battle is clipped from my live stream, so the quality on it is slightly worse, but I did kind of want to showcase this lead as well, and what they end up having in the back. So I'm more than happy to stay in here, because of course Cresselia does extremely well into my backline, so I'd much rather see it here on the Gligar, where I can fire off multiple digs. The dig is going to connect into the Cresselia, and now this is a range where I can just counter it down, so this works out great for me. Moonblast is going to connect. I can send in the Poliwrath and get the counter down. Cresselia out of the way, but there's more trouble on the horizon as in comes Azumarill. Azumarill is a little bit tricky here. I will fire off the Scald. I do get the shield, fishing for a potential debuff, as if I can get a debuff, I can survive a Play Rough. Unfortunately, didn't look like I got the debuff from the first one. I'm going for Scald number 2, just continually trying to apply pressure to the Azumarill. The Scald is going to connect. I go 0 for 2 on Scald debuffs, which is quite unfortunate. And now I have a choice to make. I elect to let the Play Rough through, and I'm going to try and close this out with Annihilape. Annihilape farming up a lot of energy. They're still not in Night Slash range, so I'm not going to throw a move here. I am just going to shield the Play Rough and continue to farm. I go for the Night Slash. Night Slash should be enough to knock out here. The Night Slash into the Azumarill does pick up the KO. In the back, it's Diggersby, and this is an easy game. I just wait for them to go for their Scorching Sands, because I can survive it, and then I can go for the close combats. But Scorching Sands gets the debuff! No! I missed two 50% Scalds, but they get a 30% Scorching Sands. I get the back-to-back Night Slashes, but it's a CMP tie, which means we came so close to beating two anti-fighters with our double fighting team, but a Scorching Sand debuff dooms us, and it's a loss. Tough lead in the next match, Shadow Gligar versus Shadow Feraligatr. I try and go for the catch on 5. I'm unable to get the catch, but my opponent is actually staying in to throw their energy. Hydro Cannon is going to be resisted. They're now going to send in their own Gligar, and they've given me a massive energy head start. They would have been better off had they switched it in sooner. They will get a very nice farm down, but they're debuffed, so I'm more than happy to send in my own Gligar right away. If you notice, I do not wait my switch clock. I don't want to give them the ability to potentially save their Gligar and have it cause problems for my Annihilape later. I would much rather just get rid of this thing as fast as I possibly can. My opponent will make another Aerial Ace. Again, they're debuffed due to the Icy Wind. This will not knock out. I'm going to be able to make it to the Aerial Ace, and then once I see that Feraligatr, I can't afford to get farmed down, so I have to send in Annihilape, and it's Registeel in the back, and there's no way they respect it. They can live a Night Slash, they can live a Shadow Ball, but they do not live the close combat. Back in comes the Feraligatr. Feraligatr gets countered down, we take the win, and the 2 shield flex. All in all, I think that this was just an incredibly fun team to run. Close combat was really catching people off guard. I do realize that by making a video on it, people will be more prepared, so the team might not necessarily function as well as it did for me and for those in my Discord who tried it, just because people will now be aware that close combat is something to watch out for. But oh my goodness, this thing was amazing. After hitting the low 2700s the other day, I did end up tanking back to the low 2600s, and then from there I was able to climb up to where we see now the 2811 ELO. Several people in my Discord were able to climb from low to medium ace all the way past veteran, so the team's been working very well for a lot of people. Again, a little bit of a word of warning is now that people know to expect the close combat, the team might not have the same efficacy as it once did, but I did want to share it because it's a team that I'm proud of. I feel like Poliwrath, a lot of people are not necessarily preparing for it as well as, let's say, they have in the past, so it really functions nicely as a save switch, and then the close combat on the Annihilape, that pacing is just unbelievable. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.